Hey, what's up, everybody? Back here with another one, but today we actually have a very, very, very special guest. Uh, Definitely excited for you guys to get to know this guy. He's really awesome. Goes by Mister E, and we actually, I caught him on TikTok, and thought it was just the connection was there. Everything kind of synced up, so here we are. Um, Guy's really awesome. I'm going to let him tell you all about himself. Um, and Yeah, we're just going to kind of get into this. You know how we do it over here.
Yeah, we did meet on TikTok, and it's what I've found on TikTok recently is this really beautiful group of people that are trying to make a better world and like do the right thing and come together and build community. And, it's this thing that is unfolding before our very eyes, this incredible, I mean, in the story, the caterpillar turned into a butterfly. The caterpillar goes and spins up a cocoon and then comes out the other side. And there's a process of deliberate sort of creation going through this process. But there's a point in the process that the caterpillar is a butterfly and doesn't remember being a caterpillar before. And so I think that's what we're all experiencing right now is we're all experiencing this rapid change in technology, which is only accelerating. Unstable monetary systems, governments, that kind of thing, lots of chit chat. That's just what we all have been conditioned to see. And so I did a video today, and I think if you want to know about me, I'm a visionary. And so I've always had the capacity to see things ahead of time or, forecast, whatever it was, like these books that were written. I remember the first book I wrote was the Evolutionary Guidebook. And in that guidebook, that came out in 2010. And that was really, you didn't see a lot of people like talking about these conscious things. And so it's been this incredible time to watch things accelerate over the last 15 years. And we're going to a place now where it's unforecastable what is about to happen to our human systems. It's just beyond our understanding. And so that makes us get jumpy. But all that's happening is, it's like BB's on a big platform. They were vibrating at one level, one key, and now we're moving to a different key. The harmonics are changing. We're going to a different key. And so right now the BBs, or the old structures that we live in, we're vibrating at a certain level to create the structures that we've been all living with. So now that's all changing, and the chaos happens where the BBs go all over the place, and then they come back to alignment when we get to the next frequency of change that will be stable for us for a period of time. So we don't want to focus on the chaos so much and all the drama and the storylines around the chaos. What we want to do is we want to focus on our end product, our what is our mission here? All the brothers and sisters and um, all of us that have come here, and it's going to take everybody playing their role. And what is my role, and have the courageousness to do it, because it's all hands on deck right now to balance out as much as we can so that it's going to be disturbing to a lot of people. I'll put it that way. So anyway, that's who I am. I like to put content out there, write books about compassion and how, once compassion becomes a fashion and everybody's into it, it's like right now we still have too much fascination with uh, horror movies, really. I mean, if you look at most of our television, it's horror movie. And so all of us right now have to be very cognizant about what we're putting into our system, because we're coming into a recognition and also a new empowerment because of the light hitting the planet, that the what we're taking in must come out, that we are a creative system unto ourselves. Each one of us is the center of our own universe. And so whatever we're putting into our system is going to output itself into our reality. And so if we're looking at too much, I mean, on the grossest level, pornography and war and all that kind of stuff, and on the other side of it, just light drama and whatever, it's still a story that was scripted. And once we become aware and really responsible, I guess you could say, like totally responsible, like saying, oh my gosh, I couldn't see it before, but everything that I put in, I thought I could get away with this, and I thought I could get away with that, and those thoughts and all that. But once we become truly aware of our system and how it works, and our heart is open, then all of a sudden we have this great responsibility to recognize that as we so put our attention is exactly what we are manifesting. That is the power of God. That's the power of creation right there. And so whatever that we listen to, whatever we eat, how we greet people, how we leave our home when we go to work, or how we treat somebody we meet on the street, it's all a part of this learning about how to flow with it and be in harmony with it. And that has been one way, but now it's moving into another way, which to be in harmony with the change, to really move fast with the change, which is a way shower, which is what a lot of folks right now are like. They can't help it. This has been guided into spirituality, be guiding into teaching and helping other people. It's because we're coming to a momentous time in our human involvement where it's all hands on deck. Everybody that can help everybody starts helping everybody. And the work that we've been doing, I've been doing, I mean, I've been on the spiritual path 30 years. My job, as I see it, is how do I take 30 years of constant practice, study, publishing books, teaching classes, all of that stuff, and condense that now into a style of learning or a style of seeing or just simply a style of being, however you get there, because people learn differently. But to have the experience of a unified consciousness in far less time than it took for me. And I'm still growing and still extending myself and still learning. So that's a little about me.
So, yeah, I mean, what was the turning point for you that began the spark of this entire journey?
It's interesting you say that because I think my ninth book was called Spark. No, eighth book. Eighth book is Spark. And that's the awakening. When the first spark hits you and you have an awakening, a lot of people get carried away with it. It's easy to start over geeking on the synchronicities and think it's all about love and peace and harmony, and it is. But once that awakening starts, you've got your work ahead of you, and that's what I'm talking about. The time, the shadow work that we've all been conditioned to think we have to do. And what I'm saying and putting forth is we can do all of that at a much quicker time. But I think we will, just because there's a quickening happening. There's not really much choice. There's something happening where we're going through an evolution, and we're these almost like our dualistic nature of seeing two things: Democrat, Republican, rich, poor, black, white. We've really broken up, right? I mean, there's becoming an overlap, and then in that overlap, we find a new space to open up, or you can even look at it as they're spreading apart, and then there's this spreading apart of this polarity. There's something new that's being born, and so that's calling everybody right now. And it called me. I was 30 years old, and I got myself into a little bicycle repair shop business on next to nothing, and grew it into really something. And at the end, it kind of it went through I stood to lose a lot of money in that deal. And really, I had a young baby, and I was 27 or 8 or something like that. And I met a man, and I went to his class, and it was just a moment where everything changed for me, and I wept, and there was this, the Christ consciousness came through a pinhole in the fabric between, in the space fabric between myself and the ceiling, and filled up the whole room. And I've always been, from that moment, that spark, where I went into sort of a free flow of heart feeling, right? I went from ecstatic happiness to ecstatic sadness. And I got to let a lot go, and I got to have this incredible experience. But it was the next morning that I went to this meeting with a lawyer and a business partner that had kind of, he was trying to make it as difficult as he could on me, and I stood to lose a lot of money. So I practiced this non-resistance. This, like, all right, just show me where to sign. I'm not going to fight this. It's like, whatever you want, I'm just going to sign that. I'll give it to you. And that was the thing that changed everything, because in that moment, I got down on there. My lawyer grabbed my hand and said, "What are you doing? You're about to like go. You're about yourself to put yourself in terrific misery, terrific jail right now if you go down this path." And I shrugged him off. Put the pen to the paper. And my ex-business partner, who's a really beautiful guy, sort of found his heart, and he said, "Stop." And he pulled out another set of papers, and we sold the business that we'd had for 8 years. And I got out and broke even, really. And I think he took a little bit of a loss, but it was a moment of really surrendering. And I feel like that's what all of us are facing right now. We don't know what's ahead. We've all signed on the dotted line for something. We have made an agreement all together on a soul level, because we're all one thing. We're just one thing. I mean, we all have different roles, but we're one thing. So those that are being called to their roles, you know, then we can carry that spark forward for each of us, because there's a lot of people on different stages of the awakening journey. And really, it's all one too. That's almost an illusion. So I think once we collapse this illusion and we help people understand that we can make great strides in a very short amount of time, that spark is not as linear and not as time constrained as we think, right? That's an old perception we have, that spark, and then there's an awakening, and then there's a big period of transformation, and somebody has to become something. No, none of that. All of it's different now. Is not true, and to the extent of that, time is the one thing that we can collapse, and that is through our forgiveness. And once we recognize that every single person on this planet is doing the best they can, and there are no other choices for them except the choices that they're living out, because that is the plan that they're on. That is, they're a part of this big grand thing, to sort of at the end of it go, it was all an act. It was all a play. We've now created new earth. We've done what we came to do, what we always knew we were going to do. We remembered what we had agreed to a long, long time ago in linear time, but just a fraction, just on the other side of this dimension, to come to a place so that we could have this experience of being on planet Earth and get to learn the lessons of love and learn about one another and how we can do this perhaps in other places. Who knows? I don't even know where I went with that. It just took me.
it, it happens. It happens. It happens. It definitely happens to me sometimes too. So I totally understand. Um, but no, that's a good explanation. I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting how just a couple series of events can change the whole course and direction of of our lives, right? Like it. I remember. I always believed from a young age that there was something more to what everybody was trying to say, and something more than what say per se my dad or what have you was trying to like hammer in, which never really worked. That doesn't really work for me. You know, I'm
Right?
one of
Yeah.
those people. I You tell me to go one way, I'm definitely going the other way on perp. You know, I'm going the opposite direction than everybody else. Always been that kind of way. So that didn't really work, and had a lot of questions. Nobody could ever answer those questions, and and
Yeah. See,
then
you're a black sheep, just like me. I have a tarot deck I created called the Black Sheep Tarot of the New Earth. And it really is about the black sheep waking up to their roles. You know, those of us that had been marginalized, pushed aside, made fun of, bullied, ostracized, blamed mostly, are, followed our role to get to this point, to be so projected upon that it caused a flame to happen, the spark to happen. So the spark that you talk about is like when you come in with a different vibration and you're challenging the status quo, you draw a lot of attention to yourself, right? And so you get a lot of like, hey, don't do that. And like you said a second ago, it's like the pushback, like you have to do it this way, never worked with you. You went the opposite way. So that's what happens. It's like everybody else is moldable in a certain way. And then they're the black sheep, the chosen ones. And we, like, if you push one way, we go the other way, or we might go with you for a little while, but the repercussions that come later, you know. So we, for me, I've experienced a lot of gain, a lot of loss in my life, kind of a lot of all over the place. And the great learning has been that, really for me, what it was to, are you still there? Okay.
yeah, I'm here.
All right. Um, I got to refine my thought. Oh, the black sheep. So, this, the folks around us, our environment pushes really hard on it, like has to crack this shell. And it opens up, it's like the acorn, it gets the right germination, the right configuration, the right amount of tension in the environment in your life. But in a lot of ways, we're uncorruptible because we don't get stuck in situations too long that people do for their entire lives and really get like, really messed up in. But I feel like that we're the ones that are going to take the risk right now. I feel like we're the ones that see, oh my gosh, the whole system's falling apart. What I have been trained to see as risk, I just use the word risk. It's not a risk at all. There is no sacrifice. If I really went and started following my heart right now, then, what would happen?
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I feel the same way. Like it's for me right now. It is truly an exciting time. I know a lot of things seem very, to the normal person, they seem very bleak and very dark and things of that nature. But I'm excited to be here right now. Here and right now. I'm excited. I'm thoroughly excited. I'm thoroughly excited to see all these things happen because like if you think about it, it's like, you know, like wow. Like I'm here right now in this period of change and time. Like it's truly an honor to be here, you know?
Yeah, I know it. It is that, and I feel like if there's a message that you and I could get across today, it's, for all of us, we understand we can be fearful of something and we can be excited about something, in love with something, right? I mean, it really is a perception that we have. And it really comes down to, what do we believe? Because if we believe everything's going to work out, then we are firmly in that vision in our mind. Everything's going to work out. It may get chaotic for a while, but it's going to work out down the line. And the more people that have that belief system are creating a reality that it all works out and all is a beautiful outcome. So there's nothing to fear unless we engage the fear. And if we realize that we're fearful of where the play is going because we're looking at everything through our human eyes, then, it's time to like reconnect with those practices, get outside, call a brother, call a sister, get yourself back into alignment with, feeling good, because feeling good is a light vibration. The people that are feeling good are going to rise to the top and kind of open up this way for all of us to move through. And we'll see, man. What an you're right. It's so exciting. I can't believe it. So many new, like all the people that have been not valued in the world, I feel like are going to become, their gifts are going to be seen in ways that they never were before. There's a tremendous redistribution of assets and of the way things happen and the way things flow. But we're
Yeah.
so familiar with the old thing to watch it kind of like crumble and to be concerned about our safety and whatnot in this environment. Yeah, I mean, it's a big seduction for most of the people. So we're not most of the people right now. We'd like to become all the people where we see a compassionate reality. But we have to work together, each one of us, with our vision, to share that vision of it's all working out for everybody. And this is a we consciousness. This is a single stream of unified conscious thought that we're moving into. If we go that way, I mean, we have a choice, I think, or we don't, maybe, but we probably don't have a choice. It's coming for us all. It's just whether or not we go into it with grace and ease, or whether we go into it through kind of a karmic headbanging, right?
That's it. Hey, there's going to be a lot of people kicking and screaming, and then there's going to be a lot of people that just hey, I give up. Just take me with you. Like, but that's just the way it is. Like, especially this year. This is a really powerful year. Um, truly, like there's so many planetary alignments that haven't happened for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
and they're all happening right now. Like there's so much, and like this is like the perfect time for all these things to happen. And like you said, you mentioned safety. What safety? Is there really any safety in an illusion? I don't think so. It's because it's an illusion, right? So a lot of once people realize that, they'll be able to come to their senses and be like, all right, this is what I have here. But does this matter? Does this mean anything? Can I take this with me? Can I not take this with me? What can I take with me? Okay, and they start taking those inventories of everything, and then they start realizing, wait a minute, all I have is myself, my spirit. Not even this body is yours, right? This is just a rental. So, like
Yeah,
the only
we're
thing
going to
you
lose everything. Everybody's about to lose everything, no doubt about it.
yeah. So it's like, all right. So what really matters then? Well, my consciousness matters. My everything that goes along with that. My wisdom, my knowledge, all those things that I can carry beyond this plane, right?
Well, I think it's
So
a really important distinction to make, because that now you're touching on everybody's biggest fear. It's like it's easy to say, I surrender to your will, God. But then as you do that over time and you really become adept in spiritual practice, like there is no lines in there. There's no borders, there's nothing, right? I mean, and ultimately the last step, which could be, lifetimes of work to get there, is to surrender that last part and say, I because I'm and to come to this awareness like, oh my God, when the drop of water becomes the river and becomes the ocean, and then it's the ocean, it's everything, like, does it still exist? They have to like go to that very human part of us and go, oh my God, am I going to exist? Am I giving up what is my free will right now? And I don't really have any except to go along with this play or to fight it. And if I fight it, I'm unhappy. And if I'm unhappy, my vibration falls and I start getting mired in circular thought patterns and trouble and drama and all the rest of it. But if I'm playing, like staying above the chaos, right? Not getting too involved in it. Oh, this is good. Thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's good to share that with people because we're all still having an experience, and every soul is having their own experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we
Absolutely.
know we know everybody's working out. Everybody's going to be okay. We know everybody. It's just along the way. Are we going to, how are we called by in our guidance from the heart to be helpful or to show up?
Guess it looks different in many ways, right? Like truly, it could be just as something as you know, saying hi to somebody.
Yeah.
Because I mean, really, truly, because you know, there's moments in my life where I've done that for people, and they actually even told me, hey, you actually course corrected the direction of my day, and I really appreciate that. And you know what? There's people that I've seen that literally I was just like, wow, like that's awesome. And that person changed the direction of my day. It could be something as simple as that to as complex as, helping people deal with all the baggage and all the shaking off the chains of everything, and just like, oh man, it's so crazy and so like awesome all at the same time because I've been there too. And listen, this is and a lot of people, um, this is journey. It's not just, oh, take this 8-week course and you're going to be perfect. Yeah. Like, that's like the funniest thing ever. But that's why it's a journey, though, because literally, in my opinion, just my personal opinion, but I think we're all going to be doing some type of work to some extent until, we're not here anymore. Right.
Oh yeah, sure. The game never ends. I mean, it keeps on going. It might change venue. It might change, what it is you're learning or the situation. I had a friend of mine on the phone today, and we were talking about this very thing. He was saying that he couldn't quite make sense of why he wasn't really in his purpose or feeling in his purpose. And there was this one situation he was in. It felt like it wasn't right for him. And, we all imagine that we have this free will. We just think we're creating all of it. And we have free will with it. We don't have any free will at all except to go with it or not. We've already agreed to this. And so we just, our job is to go with it. Now, or can nuances be different? Yeah. But when, if you go back 100 years and you look at what was happening and the amount of change that was happening, you look at it 50 years and then 20 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, and then today, like where we are. Like this thing is moving faster and faster and faster down the line. We have to let go of all ideas about what this thing is. Something else is just going to show up for us. And so our job is to harmonize with change, just be right with ourselves. It's really important to recognize that if I'm right with myself, it's a lot easier to let go and a lot easier to flow with the change.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think so. I'll just kind of give a little bit of my part. Um, I how can we go into this? So let's just go like way back, like from my early days, right? Being a child, right? Had an interesting upbringing, so to speak, and a lot of people would always, oh, I could understand if you were this, or I could understand, you know, and even back then, I had I had a pretty good attitude for the most part about it all. Um, because I always tried to find I guess the silver lining, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
there were moments in time where, you know, had a little victim here, a little victim there, but then I you know, nipped it, and what was really transformational for me in this whole process was before I even had that awakening initially. I was already working on my mentality. So it was
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to me. And what really did that for me is so I'm originally from Ohio, but I moved to Florida. That was a major life change for me. So I moved to Florida, and that's when like the heavy learning I feel really truly began. And so for that, like the move, I'm extremely grateful for as I look back now. And I'm kind of at a place right now where, well, I have been for like, I don't know, probably like a couple years, where I'm truly grateful for everything that's ever happened to me. Um, I'm thankful for all those things because I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot at a very early age, which I'm super grateful for. And like that's what a lot of people, like, I'll talk to people about that, and they can't really understand that yet, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, I I get it, but once you work through all that stuff, or work through, let's just say not all of it, let's just say the majority, right? Because we all got some cobwebs here and there, like, and that's just reality, that's just the way
Every
life
time I
is.
thought I was at the end, I found out I was just beginning. There was another mountain, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But you know what though? That's why it's a journey. And honestly, I'm to a point now. Like, I could say this right now, right? But catch me maybe a couple months from now, I might not say I'm liking the journey, right? I might be in a hard part of the journey, But hey, you know what? One thing's for certain: I'm definitely gonna be able to pull through it. Gonna get
That's the
myself.
most important part is the persistence of it. I mean, I don't know what your experience has been. My experience has been that, I would go into periods of awakeness followed by periods of dullness or sleepness, and even forget, if we get too, sometimes we know we're not like vibrating at our highest level. We're like aware of it. Sometimes we're even asleep to that. We've forgotten that we're even lost. We're so into the mind again. And that's important, I think, in the spiritual journey because it helps us to recognize where everyone else is, and what our mission is, which is to not pull people because we can't force anybody, but to shepherd and help people, to assist people along the path as they begin to wake up and realize that this reality is vastly different. When we see that person or they see our shingle on the wall and they contact us for help or they watch our show or whatever it is, that's what we're really here for. And in my last book I wrote, there really isn't any professions left. This one just came out. It's called Single Stream, Eyes of the Master. And on the back it says, the ancients followed their hearts and built enlightened society, while the rest played musical chairs. When the music stopped, the game was done, and all had lost but one. The ancients welcomed everyone home. So, in, those of us that are visionaries and those of us that are awake in this capacity to understand a message like this will be inspired by this message, perhaps, or will affirm themselves with this message, perhaps. And that is a way to take the journey further, right? Those that aren't resonating with this, they skip right on by it. They're not ready yet. And so our job is to make sure that we're following our heart to put out there, like, how do we navigate all of the deconstructions of the illusion as they happen along the way? And really what we want to do is to reframe everything that happens to us in a gift, much to your point a minute ago when you said, like, I can enjoy the ride as I go along, right? And that's how we take the what people might call the ego or the separated mind out of it, is we just choose to be happy no matter what. I'm not going to let anybody dictate my happiness, not any situation, not anything. And really, if you really practice that, oh my gosh, you can have amazing things happen.
Yeah, although, you know, that I definitely haven't completely mastered that one yet, but getting better all the time, but definitely haven't been able to quite completely master that one. But we're getting there.
I mean, that's when you set out on a course of mastery, you see it one way, but then once you get into it and really start to practice, you see it another way. And mastery is a strong word, but I do feel like we have the capacity, because we're all of the same. On some level, we're the same light body, right? Access to the same intelligence, the same consciousness. We really are far more than our capacity would suggest with human eyes. And once we start to see it with the master's eyes, oh, master, we can call anybody a master, really, but in the book, I refer to master as Christ and Jesus's walk on this earth, how he showed us how to look at all through the eyes of God, because he was there. And, the same people that are out on the streets today, they there's just some people that don't fit into this world very well. And so, but it doesn't absolve us of our duty to take care of everybody. So, and I feel like when we're really in the right, proper energy flow with creation, that, the problem of hunger and the problem of homelessness and that kind of stuff will just, but as people become happier and more people recognize that it's not about me, it's about we, then we can do a lot of good for ourselves during this transition. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about to see, like, because if everything's breaking down, then everything is going to be worth less over time in terms of investments in old institutions and stuff like that. So if I was somebody that had really capitalized in the last 40, 50 years, and I had a heart and I didn't know what to do and I was confused to do, I would look out into the world and say, how does my world, because my however many millions I've got is only worth that much now. It might not be worth much in the future. Maybe I could make a huge difference now, where if I wait, then I'm kind of behind the wheel. But what if I'm a pioneer in giving? What if I'm a pioneer in new structures? What if I'm a pioneer in bringing forth those medical practices all the way to technological advances, and to put it to really good use? And then we have this artificial intelligence that I have to sort through, but I mean, it's a fast moving train.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that I mean, with us being in the age of Aquarius, that's all that technology, information, all that stuff is going to go parabolic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't ready. Some are. Some people aren't. And that's just the thing. Everybody's at a different place right now, and that's okay. Like it's kind of like my whole theory um, is when it comes to all this spiritual stuff, I think anybody can learn from anybody. Like I always personally like to say I can learn from somebody that just started the whole spiritual journey yesterday. I can learn from that person too.
It's a
You
really
know,
important part of the journey right now. We're all on the same level of that experience. Some of us may be more seasoned in the game of life or older souls, perhaps, but I think you're right. Everybody has medicine for everybody. Some people you can interact with, they could be of all kinds of places they might not have anything with at all. And then somebody you just meet at a strange place at a weird time, like either lights your heart up or, um, makes you really question yourself. And we're all doing that for each other. There's a lot of people out there that get fixated on the problems. They're this person is bad for you, so eliminate them from your life. If you're really in the heart, you're really in a compassionate place. You either wouldn't attract that person, or if you attracted them, you would treat it much differently. You wouldn't try to put a boundary up. You would just bless that person and recognize that, you know, it's just moving energy around. When we start to put boundaries up and things like that, those boundaries lead to bigger boundaries, which lead to conflict and whatnot. So we're moving to a time of trying to like let down all the boundaries because there really aren't any. Those are all false. You talk about an illusion, those are false.
so let me. Oh, you want to tell them about your website you're working on?
Yeah, because by the time this comes out, it'll be live, I guess.
Nice.
Um, you and I know, and most people that are watching this know, that there's enough for everybody on this planet. Always has been, always will be. And besides, it's way more than what we see. It's an electromagnetic thing that is responsive to your heart's call. So it's why when we build with the mind, without the heart, really, we end up with wars and scarcity and conflicts and polarity with wealth classes and whatnot. But if we're really building with the heart and building with our strength, we're building with our love and our compassion, then we're building systems that won't put people against one another, won't tolerate that kind of a thing. So we have an opportunity right now because everybody's looking out there and seeing it, and they're going, this thing is just all built on stilts, and it's been made to look really good. But truthfully, more and more people are seeing the ridiculous nature of it and how out of sync with natural law it is. I mean, forget about everything else. If you can just understand that our economics and distribution systems and the way we treat other people from other countries and all this prisons, all that, it's just the only problem is a lack of compassion. Like of course, there are ways when people get out of line with society to bring them back without locking them up forever or taking their life or whatever, right? I mean, like you can really look at what the inner beliefs of a society are when you look out at the fringe, right? In that respect. So right now I feel like it's like, what can I do to survive today? Or at the very grossest, highest level, it's like, okay, I've used business and law and taxes and the economic system to create a level of wealth that has put me in a king's world, like all these kings and all these people are trying to get into the king's world, like before the rest of it. But if we would recognize that right now, the most important thing each one of us can do is to learn to live simply. Learn to live very, very simply. There's no reason to be extravagant right now. Right now is the time. We don't know what's coming. It's like live real simply. Just go, okay, I'm going to simplify my diet. I'm going to simplify the way that I work. I'm going to simplify how much, uh, how far I have to drive to work. I'm going to figure out a way to work in my gift. I'm going to live real simply. And my goal is to learn to live on a third of my income. and then to take the next third of my income and to invest it into either my community or my gift. It doesn't really matter, but it's the third part. It's like an investment into the truth, an investment into something that is meaningful to me that I can express either in like a community or with, which is like an instrument or something. So really to wake up, or a way of doing business even. And then I take a third of what I have, my revenue, and I give it away to somebody like me. Somebody that has a big heart, that wants to make a better world, that just really wants a little bit of love and somebody to say, hey, I believe in you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a contribution to you every month in these ways. And we'll do it for at least 3 months. And we're going to work on, we know that as I give and you receive, that we are completing the law of one, and that everything can be made available to everybody under this law. All is provided for now. We have to understand that our universe is a magnetic universe. So the beliefs that we practice then become the structures around us, right? So we really believed there was enough, and there is enough, and we really believed in compassionate, then we would do it this way, because we would all be building networks of people that were giving tremendous amount of money away. And everybody that's in that economy would be excited to give money to people that they were giving to. And you would create a stability that wasn't dependent on markets or anything like that, currency values. And so you have three groups of people that really fit like the world right now for this compassionate economic model I've seen. Number one, you've got generous Americans moving ahead. I call it GAMA, GAMA, generous Americans moving ahead. And these are the people in our society that have really done well under the business structure, and they have a beautiful, kind heart and want to do really good things right now in this time of change. They aren't interested in getting into politics. They're really interested in like setting up systems. So the whole compassionate economy won't want to get enough people working in this kind of way, so that as the system collapses, we're building up the compassionate economy as it goes along. So there'll be people that want to be in all parts of this, but the generosity, the masculine element of this compassionate economy is those compassionate people, institutions, whatever, that have capital, that recognize the world is changing and falling apart. And so what's the good use of this capital? And they invest it, and they seed this compassionate economy by either, it's not like giving to like Red Cross anymore. It's like giving to real people doing real work that are really in their heart. And when you give it to them, like you sit with them, say, I believe in you. And in this belief, I want to tell you that I can see how you can help a lot of people. And I'm willing to continue to invest, and to mentor you and help you and guide you. And I don't want an investment of your company. I don't want a piece of it. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Man, somebody shows up at your door and has that and wants to work with you and give you that because they've already made it, and they recognize that right now the only game is to help everybody make it to a certain level, like fairness will happen, because if you're not running your business that well, your income will decrease. You'll have less to give out, and you need to be more motivated to get your enterprise or whatever your gift that you were working on to make it really work well, because the measure of wealth is not how much you have, but how much you give. Your capacity to give with what you have, and also receive. So the generous Americans are kind of like the financial structure sees the masculine part of it. Then we have mama, which are make altruism matter again. Altruism is like looking after the good of the whole. It's like making sure everybody, like if everybody's got a safe place to sleep, they got a belly full of good food, and they've got conversation to keep, they're going to be happy. They're going to be on their gift and on their purpose. And so this is the feminine side of the compassionate economy, which looks after like, how are we going to love each other and study and practice and worship and create and do all the things that the feminine looks after. And so there'll be, and this could be anything from like how are we going to handle all this addiction situation that we have in our world when the system really changes? How are we going to handle like helping people as the artificial intelligence goes on, helping things change so that people still have their purpose? So that's the feminine side, and then there's going to be the Luma, which are the luminaries, the people that are the creatives and the excited. They have the new technology, the new artistry, the new music, and they are holding the drum circles all the way up to um, any kind of imaginative giving of your gift as possible. So I see that group as mainly the receivers. And we have to recognize that as things change, that the recognition of their value and start to move money in their direction so that they can do the same thing. They can learn to live on a third simply, but then invest a third into their enterprise, whatever it is, and then give a third away. And therefore, so that's what it is. It's just a website that describes the compassionate economy and how we can create a safety net when the rest of this falls down.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gonna get pretty spicy out there. That's for sure. And it's so funny because um, at a younger age, I started doing a lot of research on a lot of stuff pertaining to a lot of these things, right? Um, and I remember very vividly, like telling my parents about all this stuff, and I didn't get really good reactions. Didn't really get the best of reactions, and it's kind of funny. A couple years ago, my dad kind of started to see some things, and he actually gave me an apology, which is kind of strange, super strange, super weird, all at the same time. It wasn't really in his character. And he was like, I was like, it's okay. I already knew you thought I was crazy a long time ago, but it's all good. The good news is you're coming into awareness, so that's awesome. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, man. Like whenever you see all these things coming a mile away, and not only that, but even from a young age, I always felt like, yeah, like, yeah, I'm definitely built for this. I'm ready for this. like, like,
See, I think I'm a real sensitive type. Like it's for me, it's been like I've been banged around a lot in my life, um, and we're not a victim to this reality. We're all playing a role, right? That's what we're waking up to is that we're all mostly on a scripted plan we're unaware of until we wake up, and then we come into our true awareness that we can only do one thing, which is align to our divine plan. And once we do that, then it's scripted again.
yep,
So that's really our only free will, is whether or not we want to go with our divine plan or not. And that's the full awareness. So we get to make movements within that divine plan, and it's creative and it's beautiful and it's amazing. But we have a role to play, and if we're not playing it correctly, the system will set us back in the right direction through, you know, up, you're not going the right direction. It won't work, right? You can't move in that direction because you're not supposed to go there. And so, if
yep,
we're all going to that perfect mandala eventually, and we're all going to make this beautiful new earth together, then, and it's unfolding like a sunflower, and it's like all its petals going out, or a lotus. You would have this great unfolding that would happen, and it would start with the very center. It would start with very few.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's happening.
Oh yeah. Well, like for me, okay, prime example. Like, okay, so I had like this crazy big back in 2018. I wanted totally different things than I actually want right now, right? Like I thought I wanted like material success, all these things, blah 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 blah. Then the awakening happened, and things really started to shift big time. And then, you know, for me, I just want some material gain so that way I can invest in those things, right? Um, like, I got some things I'm going to do here in a couple years. Um, but for now, it's just, going to be the healing circles and things like that that I literally been, focusing on stuff like that. Because the end result for me personally, I always kind of seen like a retreat style, like kind of a thing, and what the end result looks like. Well, I couldn't really tell you because I could see it going in 1,000 different directions, right? But I know my heart's in the right place for those kind of things. But I also, I built some really cool connections along the way, um, and obviously going to keep continuing to do that. So eventually, when these things do happen, it'll just slowly grow over time, or who knows, maybe it just rapidly grows. I really don't know, but I'm definitely with you on that. Like like right now, what people really need to be focusing on more than ever is a safe way to start growing food, like things of that, stuff like that. But like it's like, okay, cool. That takes land, it takes property, it takes a lot of things to do that, right? Then you have to have people to actually, tend to those things, take care of them, you know. Like there's a lot. So there's a lot of stuff to do, like you said, in this whole thing,
Yeah.
of what it looks like. Because listen, we're gonna have to take on everything, all these conveniences that people think they have right now. Those conveniences won't be like that, at least in the very beginning, right? Um, and it
Yeah.
always won't look as rough as it will at first, but it takes everybody to come together to make even those things possible. Because somebody can have a vision, somebody can have the heart to do it, but it takes more than one person. It takes literally an entire tribe of people,
Well,
to make those things happen.
you said something there I think is real important. I want to go back to, which is, you didn't say it this way, but I'll say it this way. Same point. After a disaster, earthquake, flood, I mean, people aren't asking people to pay for bread. They're feeding people because they need to be fed, right? We, when our neighbor is in jeopardy, or at least most good-hearted people, when our neighbor's in jeopardy and we're in the impact zone one way or another, we want to be helpful. A lot of people do. And so what you're saying is the more distress and whatnot that hits our economies and things like that, it'll just draw people out to help one another grow food and that kind of thing.
They're gonna have to. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
like what choice you got? Like, I mean, yeah. Listen, honestly, it'd probably be super beneficial for people to go on 30 and 60 day fasts, in these times, especially spiritually. That would be one way to accelerate the spiritual awakening, right?
Well, I
But
think that's why the most important thing about the compassion economy, the very first thing, is to learn to live simply, in a way that we justify so many of our purchases, so many of our things. We don't really need much at all. But if we focus and invest within our gift, so we're not purchasing outside of what really serves us, it's not as nearly as much as what pleases our senses. You know what I mean? And then really invest the other part of it into ourselves or our community. I mean, just to me, it feels like a beautiful way to live. And then
yeah,
and then learn to give it away. Like, I'm going to give not just 10%, not when I feel like it, but I'm going to find somebody. Now, the artists and the people that are just starting out in the world that don't have capital to start this thing, it's not really about that. It's about learning the mindset, and then it's about making yourself as valuable as you can be. And eventually this thing will grow, and there'll be you'll be able to receive. So some people give first, some people receive first, right? But you still go through the process. And um, I think it would be amazing if we started to invest in our infrastructure, not from a place of what can I get out of it? How can I personally gain from it? How can I invest in our architecture in a way that is beneficial to all beings? I've been so blessed in this country to make all this money and have this land and everything. I want to put it to really, really good use.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
before it's
like,
gone.
yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like, so just to kind of touch on this a little bit, back in 2018, I made a video about AI and how, you know, in a decade or less, that most people are going to lose their jobs, and that people really need to really start focusing on their passions, the things that they like to do, that they're naturally, good at, to make a living. Because these current things that are happening right now, well, what are you going to do when there's no jobs? A lot of people didn't really see that one coming, but we're here in 2025, and here we are. Like, yeah, it's literally right on the cusp of all that right now. Like, I do technical analysis too, for people that know about the channel and everything. And the unemployment rate, we're literally looking at the next spike of the unemployment rate. Top of that, we're looking at almost 37%. That's massive. That's massive. So, and again, this isn't out of fear. This is just, if you know these things and you're aware, then you can plan and kind of see ahead to help your family, help your neighbor, like you said, help your neighbor, whatever the case may be for said individual. And so, yeah, that's why, like, these all this stuff doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, what are you going to bring to the table? That's what I want to ask everybody. What is it that you're going to bring to the table when all these things, when this does happen? Like, ask yourself that question. What are you going to bring to the table? What is your natural gift? What is your natural passion? What can you bring to everybody else that nobody else can? Because that's what's going to be valuable. Those are the things that are going to be truly valuable.
That's right.
Not
And
only
that's,
that,
yeah.
and not only that, but like, so let's just say, hmm, there's somebody, I don't know, that has a lot of, I don't know, let's just say there's, we'll just use this as an example. There's somebody that, in a very older generation, that's been a psychic for like 50 years, right? But then he sees somebody else, he sees himself in somebody else, mentor that person, to pass the torch on to whenever you're not here. It's things like that that's going to keep all this stuff going. And not only that, but make it better. Um, And the sooner people get behind all this stuff and the sooner people start taking initiative themselves, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah. The easier, the softer the ride. I don't know how much of it we can change. I think the only thing we can do is to. I have this idea to have a mass forgiveness. Start doing mass forgiveness ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a double entendre there. Like mass forgiveness would be to infer that you would have a mass of people forgiving on one hand, and on another way of looking at it would be that you forgive everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And so I think both are possible. But
Yeah.
to get to that point, it's really important for each one of us to recognize that we're all innocent and all of us didn't have any other choices. We just thought we did. We had to do the things we did, and so did the other folks too, in order to wake us up. And in that respect, we can start to repair our emotional world and our mind to recognize that in the unconscious illusionary realm that we're all in, like all that emotion stuff just keeps us stuck in the matrix. And so You know, it's not that we don't need to feel it, but we need to let it go and like release it, repair our minds as well, so that we recognize that nobody did anything wrong. They were just following their way to get to the destination, and they were doing it the best they could, and that's part of the game, is to learn and to make mistakes and to learn what mistakes are and what mistakes aren't, and to learn that really everything is already perfect and there's nothing to be judgmental about. And so then we get into this reverse paradox with the energy, because now we see that everything's perfect exactly the way it is, and the more people that see everything is perfect exactly the way it is, then all of a sudden, on the other side of that paradox, everything becomes perfect and balanced again.
And it's so true. And you know, it's funny that you say that, because that's like one of my things too that I've come to realize is, you know, and just by doing like reflection on my entire existence, right? That's the exact conclusion I've come to, just by doing all that reflection from the past and everything. Because I'm like, oh, this happened, but then right after that, reason this happened is so I could be here, and I'm here because I had to do this. And if I wouldn't have had any of that happen, I wouldn't be here. And you know what? I like where I'm at. So awesome. Thank you for that. Right?
You know, I forget that I'm happy sometimes. You know, that's different than being sad. It's just you forget you're happy.
Yeah.
Um, and that may become a commodity as time goes on if things get really dire before they switch over. But you never can tell. Our job as way showers is just to simply help people let go. Because if you're not holding on to judgment, grievances, and shame, then your mind is free, and you can bounce. You'll move right with the energy and the change. If you're unforgiven, if you're holding a lot of grievances, if you still believe you're a victim, if you still believe there's a heaven and a hell, if you still believe in medicine's going to cure you, I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like there's a million beliefs out that will everybody is going to have to face their belief systems as our environment changes very quickly. And so you'll experience what you believe, what you've been programmed, what you carry on. If you believe that somebody is wrong or they are hurtful or whatever, then you're going to experience that. And so, and then you fight it. And in the fighting of that, you don't recognize that all you had to do is just accept the situation for what it was and just bow at it, that everybody's part of one system waking up. So one's a struggle, one's the karmic way, which is Highway 96, I call it. And then the other way is the way, which is Highway 69, which is when the masculine and the feminine parts of ourselves are balanced perfectly. And the 69 is the yin yang. And in the yin yang, there's only one path. It's really a labyrinth. It's just a twist and turns and whatnot. But we really never had more than our one path, especially when we surrendered it and we let it go and we said, no, I want to go with my divine plan. I'm tired of my monkey mind making these choices and getting in these fights and getting in these quandaries and overthinking things. So what I really want to do is I want to get in the single stream, the one mind, join my thoughts with God's thoughts. And that's just a lot easier because those thoughts are connected to my higher soul, which has been trying to communicate this message for me. And now that I've woken up to my true reality, I can hear.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is it's gonna be very interesting. So when can people expect to see the website?
You know, I'm targeting May 14th. Real simple. It's really just educational. You know, it's not like there's something to plug into where you got to give a system a certain amount of money every single month to have a compassionate economy. And you know, I could use some help in this because I'm just one guy right now. But um, this setting up some systems. You want to capture people's emails and keep them informed in case there's some new developments or things they need to know about. I'd also like to create a directory or a registration of people that come from those three different places. One, the compassionate masculine side is, got some investment money, perhaps is just curious about finding other companies to uh, fund, quite frankly, angel investments, what we're talking about. We're not talking about, capitalizing from a place of trying to generate a return on investment. We're just simply giving because we recognize somebody has a technology is going to change the world. And we know because giving and receiving are one that our life is going to be blessed by giving. So we're going to give. And then the artisans and the feminine side of things, like the schools and all the creators, all that stuff. It's like they're also in that networking pool too. And we just try to introduce people, or we do introduce people to one another through not just a copy an email, but we hold events and get people engaged and get people excited and educate them, and then we just kind of let the natural fields of attraction take over, and people just go, "Oh, you're the one I've been looking for. I've been looking for that person to put some money and invest in," and they've been like, "Wow, I've been looking for you too." So it's
Absolutely.
already set up on a matrix. It's set up on perfect sacred geometry. We've been trying to live outside of natural laws. And so now as we go back to natural law, it's just all going to come into a formulation more like a bee, like the honeycomb where everything is perfectly structured.
Oh, yeah, it'll definitely get there. I It'll definitely get there. A lot of people may not see right now, but there's there's definitely big shifts coming, especially over the next like 4 to 6 months, that are going to be extremely powerful, and yeah, it's gonna get spicy. That's really all I can say. So that's that's really all there is to say about that. I mean,
Right. I mean, it's unforecastable. We don't know, but it's
yeah,
going to be, I mean, like you said earlier, like certain planets in certain places and certain patterns repeating themselves. I mean, you can see it. An aware person can see what's happening because of what's breaking down. The voices have gotten real loud on Wall Street and in the political regions, and it's really interesting right now. Just sit back and witness it and go, "Holy cow! This is what we always wanted," because we knew our world was broken in a sense, and we weren't taking care of ourselves in the way that we could. We could see the trash piling up, and now it's in the oceans, and there's plastic in everything. It's like we could see it happen, but now all of a sudden, like the weight of the thing is making some cracks that are not ever going to be repaired. They're the cracks of a new foundation growing up.
yeah, yeah. The dumpster's full. It's time to empty it.
Who knows? The ancient way, which is simple way. I'm fascinated in our development as creatures, and it's, if we have this technology working for us, will we choose to live more the ancient way? Will we go back to our roots? Will we go back to, it seems like we go back to totally natural everything, figure out a way to live totally in harmony with our environment? And what would that look like? That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially like all the lost hidden knowledge that a lot of people, you know, have no idea. Like for instance, like you know, for me, I feel like there's a lot of power in trees. A lot of people don't even really realize the power of trees. You know, trees are powerful. They hold up. They've you know how many things a tree that's been sitting for 100 years in the same spot. How much stuff that a tree has soaked up. How much wisdom and knowledge that that tree has. Like, and it goes beyond even this realm. You know, so
Yeah.
a lot of people, lost those things. So in order for people, once people start getting back in touch with those things, they'll be able to realize a lot more, and they'll get them downloads and understand, and it'll be so vivid that they can't deny it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. It'll be a yeah, interesting time to be alive. If you're really invested in the matrix, it's going to be tough. You know, the ones of us that have divested over the years, and for me, it wasn't a purposeful divest. It was more like my path just was taking me here. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, there was a time in my life where I had kids in private school and owned a home, really nice home. It's really changed for me. It's almost like if for a while it looked like I was being treated unfairly, but you know, if I look at it from a totally non-personal neutral view, I'm like I was getting pushed out of the system way in advance so that I could be right here where I am right now, and I could help people understand what was happening. And, you know, I wrote my first book that came out was 2010, the Evolutionary Guidebook. I mentioned at the beginning here, but you know, that's 15 years ago, and then was I had not hadn't heard of this yet. You know, I didn't have access to this material yet. It's not to say it wasn't here, but then all of a sudden I got it, and it really started to spread. Had a center in Boulder for a period of time. Had this property for about 10 years, and we had a lot of people that were on the path that wanted a better world, didn't quite know how to do it, and we were all sort of making it up as we went along, which I think is what we're doing still today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, just out of curiosity, for everybody that's watching, if they want to pick up your books, where can they find your books?
Well, we probably ought to put this on some bars on, periodically through the show, but go to agent444.com. Agent444.com is my website. And from there, you can link to Amazon and buy the physical copy. You could buy an autographed copy, or you could buy, uh, you can get stuff for free. And then there's a couple of other ones that you can look at online electronically. So Agent 444 is where I've been building for years and years and years. And this other website's called successiscompassion.com. And that's what we're really trying to do, is we're trying to redefine what success is. It's not anything of the old value. It's really just simply, it's compassion. What we want to do is we want to focus on compassion. What happens when we're all compassionate and we help one another and, learn our lessons on this planet. That's really all it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Fortunately, it looks like I am actually running out of time
Yeah, me
because it's
too.
going to start getting loud at the house. So that that could be kind of disastrous.
Well,
But
blessings to you. Thank you so much for this
yeah,
opportunity. This has been really great.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
yeah,
Definitely,
man.
you know, definitely much gratitude to you for coming on. And listen, anytime you want to come back, you're always more than welcome.
All right, well, we'll see where this goes. Maybe we'll make some good clips out of it.
Cool.
And are you going to make them into clips and send them to me? Or you're just going to send me the whole thing?
I'll send you the whole thing.
Okay.
Hold on one second, actually.